a lot alike, believe it or not.
Well,
Other
welcome.
nutrient sentiments were very similar.
I can't wait to hear more about that, Renee. Welcome to Dojo. It's Wednesday night.
Are you modded or am I modded?
You're modding? Oh, you're modding? I was asked to mod, but I want you to mod. Go mod,
I'm gonna
girl.
mod. Yes, I've come prepared to moderate. Everyone, hello and welcome to Dojo Wednesday night. I was gonna look at the number so I could say it like Cameron to know which one it is, but I know we're well into. Hey, we're going into 2026. Everyone, welcome. Woo! 2025 was something, but 2026, fantasticals. That's what I have to say. So if you are new, there is a react button with the heart, and you hit that, and there's a hand up, and you can raise your hand if you want to introduce yourself or ask a question or just have something to say, or just whatever comes in to your little mind's eye. It's been a pretty productive day. I ended up cleaning my closet. I don't know. We are in a Virgo moon energy right now, right after that full moon that we had, which was a big one, the wolf moon, and James's lives have been really appropriate with that. Good job, James, being on the correct animal there. You were on the wolf. So that's been a lot of expansion going on, and it's been a lot to hold. Though, how have you guys felt? Has it been a little shaky? Have you guys been a little bit like just containing this energy? Yeah, it's a lot of containment. But I think when you have the right posture, and especially if you're working on your physical vessel,
Yeah.
which we can do every day because we carry it around with us wherever we go. That's really good to work with all this new channeling that's coming in. So working on that antenna, that spire, is really important for these times. And that's kind of that's how I process a lot of what's going on. I know at times at nighttime I'll just be kind of overwhelmed with a lot of what's going on in the world and just hit the ground, start rolling. And actually, round isn't ground. So if that gives you guys any bit more ideas about
You're
it,
grounded.
you were grounded. You go round yourself. Get that arc in your back. So yeah, it's man, so much is going on in the news right now that I've been following a little bit in Minneapolis, St. Paul, I believe it's St. Paul.
Yeah.
Which is a couple blocks from where George Floyd has had his return to where once he was from. So I find that rather intriguing.
Wow.
Yeah, I just read that.
Wow.
Like a couple blocks.
Damn.
2020 has been 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and that preceded such a big, especially in Portland, there was a lot of marches and such, a lot of interaction with the police, lots of bricks piled up right next to the courthouse. So to think that might be like kind of kind of picking up some speed right now is pretty indicative of what we're seeing going on outside and kind of within our own lives. A lot of shifting, a lot of changing.
Yeah.
It's good and scary stuff. Good and scary.
Yeah, I wish I could say it's good. I mean I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying I wish I could feel it's good. It's kind of it's it pulls you in, and then you're instantly, I think, sort of punished for caring because you're surrounded by people that don't have the capacity to even. It's just we're so far away from even being upset by it, I think, in a constructive way. It's so much obfuscation, so much, well, they did it, or Simpsons did it, or it's just, and at the end of the day, you're literally shooting someone in the face for not having papers. And the whole time you're claiming that it's so bullshit that people are calling you a Nazi. And then you're fetishizing Nazis. Like, it's just we're so far away from where my parasympathetic system feels we should be, and it's really fucking me up. It's really it's really fucking me up because you really think that we collectively are just, you think it's hard, maybe not for you guys, but it's hard for me to constantly compassionate how different my consciousness is than say the majority mean population. you just forget. You want to forget. You really can't function thinking that it doesn't work that way, to be honest. I like that fantasy. I like that fantasy. I want to keep it. And it's gotten me into the this sounds like so creepy, but it's like I completely get going postal. Like I could see myself entering into a Dexter type state very easily if I had collapsed my personal economy. I want you to think about this when you, if you want to compassionate an ICE agent, I want you to take a mixture of you're supposed to be a white man, therefore you're not an identity. You're everything I've ever said about white, but also you're a man, which means you're a provider, you drive a truck, you have the ability to put people through school, you always do what you're told. You always have a good joke. You're always willing to move a couch. You can fix anything. All the things that come with that, and you are none of those things. Then I want you to imagine you haven't worked in several years. Then I want you to imagine that you're drinking beer every day. Then I want you to imagine fucking Christy Nome comes on TV and she's on a horse in Montana and she's galloping and she's got like hairspray on. And this is the director of Homeland Security. And she's playing a Pied Piper that says, I will give you 50 grand if you come to Minneapolis and just shoot someone you'll never see again in the face. And we're going to back you up legitimately. All the legal nature is going to be taken care of. And this is all because we have to save our homeland. Like you have to be living such a tortured fucking life to go for that. Like like that's a really low place to be. And all the white angst makes sense when you look at it this way, which is why I think you should stop being white. I'm this is a very personal opinion. I don't think anyone else necessarily needs to agree with it, but it's like this is part of what I see as this would be a solution. You know, is if you were to go indigenous, you would find that that's sort of like digging your fingers into the dirt, and then you start to put your roots down. Then you start to realize that fuck, man, we should all sell oranges on the street. We should all walk around with no ID. Like if no one had an ID, if no one had a license plate, do you know how hard that would be? How are you going to tow cars when the tow company doesn't have a license plate? And but we're not there. We're look at, I guarantee you there's going to be more questions about Charlie Kirk despite this. That this is the scapegoat that makes all this possible. This one little incident of a dude who literally said, "Hey, you guys can shoot me because I believe in guns." You could not get more Jesus than that. Look, man, I need you guys to crucify me. What do I got to do? Steal a donkey? Okay, I'll do that. What do I got to do? Kick over the money tables? Okay. What do I got to do? Do you want me to go to Mount Olives and chop my member off and walk around saying lewd gestures? What do you want me to do? I need you to crucify me. And if you think about what are the people that are shooting up schools, what are they fucking doing, man? They're schizophrenically living in the world where people are like, well, yeah, man, he was indicted in New York. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Why do you think you don't even know what indicted means? They're literally saying that our homeowners association, man, I should be able to kill Pete Hegseth if he walks into a school because I think he's got cocaine. I should be able to shoot him in the face. I should be able to do that. It would be more morally justified because he has a history of that. He's a known drug trafficker. I'm getting off. There's no reason for this. There's not. And to be honest, I've been writing. I'm sorry, I was tardy. I was just
Yeah.
writing away. Just I've been writing, and every hour I'm like, okay, dojo soon, you know. And then so it's not even. I hate to say it, it's not even affecting me because I came out and I put all my effort into trying to affect it, and then you're met with just so far away. You know what I mean? Like where everyone else, they're just so far away from this place, just so far away. They cannot even fathom put together how we need a border means show me your fucking papers. It literally means I'm going to shoot you in the face. It literally means that. And the same people that are like, you can't shoot him in the face, but you can fucking shoot her in the face. She had it coming. It's so far away, guys. Losing energy over it, not gonna lie. But I think we all are. And
Weren't
I
you
think this
talking
is what you
about
get when you're like, let's give immunity to this guy. Let's let this guy pardon anyone retroactively in the future. Let's let him do that because I'm sure this will be fine. And all of this was because of revenge politics. This is how far behind we are. This was all because you fucking lefties painted too many rainbows on the streets. Now you're going to fucking get it. That's the entire energy that you're seeing happening right now.
weren't
You're
you
watching Dojo. This is Wednesday night, 8:12. Let's stop talking now.
weren't you talking about, I think it was Dystopia on your show today, about how there is such a range within the higher consciousness and the lower consciousness? That kind of seems like what we're talking about here in a way, that this is
Yes.
how you know where you are.
Yes. And my loss of calories by my inability to just really smell that musk and go, yeah, this is this is the locker room we're in.
Oh my, thanks, James. Yeah, it's a lot to process. I saw a little bit today of what went down and read some comments, and it was just, yeah, I kind of, I guess I was wrong in thinking it was kind of slowing down. Portland's not seeing a lot of the action as it was. You know, a lot of the force that was here has left, but I did see that Minneapolis was calling on Portland to like help them out energetically with the situation they're in. But yeah, man, we are in just the times we are in. Who
If you
Rome's
think
ears are burning.
if you think back to, I'm sorry, Laura's got her hand up, but if you think back to Germany, if you think about all of them as red MAGA hats, that the lessons of burning down the Reichstag, the lessons of burning down Congress, that's January 6th. It's the same thing. So the exact things, like I don't just mean metaphorically. I literally mean the exact two things happened. Just one of them didn't burn down. One building didn't burn down. That's the difference. And it would you're looking at a kind of medicine that was required back then that we really got to wake these people up. And if you think about the red hat is the manifestation of a focused reality on I am ready to really have my dickhead chopped off. It is a calling forth of pollinate me, rub my nose in it. Do you understand what I mean? And I do this too. I require this from Guy all the time, where I can't say no or I won't learn my lesson. I'll just be like, I'm gonna need you to fucking make me learn this lesson. It's 10 at night. I'm gonna eat nachos, and I, like at 4 in the morning, I'll be like, what is happening? I can't see what's going on. It's just I'm a hedonist in that way. I have this gluttony problem because I lose consciousness and I will be punished. The punishments will continue until sovereignty improves. So this is the only hope that I have in the sense of Turtle Island was never like, hey man, we're gonna have a really good time and everything. It's Turtle Island's like, look, we're gonna get some shit done. We're getting stuff done. We're getting stuff done. And this is the compost on my back, man. It's got to burn. It's got to be acidic. It's got to be. You get it. It's so I'm not in despair. I'm just noticing that I'm surrounded by people that I may not be able to sustain this same level of parasympathetic ecology. There you go.
Parasympacology. I like it. Hey, Lori, go right ahead. What you got?
Well, where's a better place to talk about losing calories than here?
Yeah.
So, um, I really don't. I mean, I was like, I don't really participate, and I know that nothing's broken. Thank you for that. So I have to look at everything that's not broken, even though it looks really fucked up. And so I kind of have this like prophetess type of thing where I can see the future. psychic abilities turning on.
Okay.
And I think it's about to get really real. Like really real. Everything is going to be exposed. The financial system. Right now silver's just broke bounds. And it's like our fiat currency is not backed by anything. We're in this pressure cooker. And how do we not lose calories in the midst of the pressure cooker? So pretty much I live in an island, but the island is only here because I feel safe and my central nervous system is all kind of because nothing really has crumbled 100% yet. It's like 50%, 40% some places, 30 other places. And, but I'm watching and I'm like, the, the consciousness is waking up and it's a good thing it's waking up. So certain places it's got all of this like so we didn't talk about Venezuela and like we go to a country and we take a person that's supposedly a drug person. Now I thought, well, the good news is the New York Times is covering like a Trump thing as a positive. I'm like, well, there's a good sign. I would never have thought that they would have thought what he did was a positive thing to take out Maduro. That's in the New York Times. I'm like, they take a person out who was not elected, and now they're saying that it's because of the voting things that Venezuela's in the voting. They were in charge of all the domestic voting, whatever these machines. So we're back in like we can't solve one thing before we're on to another problem and another problem and another problem. I'm like, it's something is happening. I think it's like there's a crack in consciousness and the light is just like pouring. So I think that we've invaded Venezuela for the silver, for the minerals, not necessarily for oil. And so I'm like waiting to see like how is that going to like work out? We're going to have a new financial system. We're going to have like they're going to have to do something. We're this close to our taxes not paying off the debt. So it's like, it's like you can leak calories everywhere thinking that you're not going to have security. I mean, that's a huge freaking calorie leak. Or that all of my neighbors are not going to have security and I'll be sitting here with security. What good is that? Really? That is just like a freaking perfect storm. So how do we like roll into this new like year with like this is just the beginning? I mean, we were only on the third day of the month when that country, I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there. Does anyone really know? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, when they kidnapped Maduro, you mean on the
Yeah.
third? Yeah,
It's just like, well, what if nothing's broken and then you can't make your mind up about what's right and what's wrong? Maybe the white men have to be so ingenuine without a purpose in life that they have to take ice jobs and lose their soul to find it again. I don't know what the arc is. It might be an arc,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
that's the Germany connection I was trying to make, is that it's probably hard to imagine how much that was going to take. And when you look at the typical MAGA, just in the typical mindset of it all, you kind of get a sense, oh yeah, this could be a tough one to burst open. And it's engorged, it's ready, but it's gonna take some violence. It's gonna take some deep no going back kind of a thing. And I was thinking, Lori, that if you look at COVID as sort of an exit plan, there's a new conscious vibration that people are allowed to exit the dance floor because the song is changing. And the people that are brave enough, honestly, were the ones that left. The ones that are stuck could actually be the ones that wanted to leave but were afraid and now are burning in radiation. They can't stand it. And this would be exactly the kind of thing that would facilitate a fascistic, militant, violent movement. This would be what it looks like, which is why I do feel more this is the turtle, this is Quetzalcoatl, doing itself. The Pied Piper of Christy Nome is it's kind of hard not to see it if you look at the glamour around it. If you look at all the symbolism around it, it's kind of like there's be no other way she could dress. The fact that there's all this stuff around her advertising campaign, that all this is just advertising, it's that would be exactly necessary for this Heyoka Witchfinder General dude who comes in to say, hey, which ones of you are violent? Because ultimately, the ones of us that are violent are the ones that need help the most. They're the ones that are that closest to wanting to shift out of that red belt or to master that red belt, but they can't let go. And them not letting go is actually a sign of self worth, isn't it? Like you could say, well, it's because you're too stubborn, or you could say it's because the boundary's too important to you, which is right. Like, fuck, man, which of those is right, you know? Because I can tell you that if you have trouble with boundaries, you're going to squeeze as much morality as you can out of being a coward, aren't you? It's true.
Mm.
I only know this because I know myself. I'm the bravest coward I've ever met. And you try and see these things and you do, and then you see lessons like this where it's happening around you and you're like, oh, I get it. This is it's always easy because the lion's going after the slowest one and you're looking around and you're seeing the ice guy. That's the dude that falls, isn't it? The metallic panther captured those dudes. Their souls are fucked for like several eons, right? Like for several eons, they got some serious like fuck, and they're going to be wishing for amnesia. That's the first inflammation, so they didn't do it. So they're going to need a pardon, and if we've got that, everything's set up perfectly for it. It's and you have to look at the lesson long term, and you know who's going to need all this healing. It's going to need to be money. It's going to be cash. So all the rich fuckers. That's what it looks like, isn't it? It's going to look. I mean, it looks like that. So and all of it's playing for us to see. We're seeing it all in hyper reality now, thanks to social media. So even when we're like, well, I try not to look at it. Yeah, I know you try. I fucking try too. It doesn't fucking work. Like, because then you got people like me, like, hey, I made a fucking cartoon. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. So there's no, we are symbiotic. This is the lesson that teaches me that. Because when people I love are cramming this stuff in my ear, I'm realizing, yeah, I'd rather have you in my life. So this is happening. You know, this is the weather that's here. Whew.
Mm. Turtle Island. I was looking at a image of Pangea, and Venezuela sat right into the Gulf of Mexico. Like it's touching that. So you wonder where this turtle is what's going on here.
And it's in the hot zone, like where Atlantis is. So if you look like Cuba, so it's in this zone where Atlantis, it's like, so there's like hidden stuff that's going on at that little that Bermuda Triangle, that whole area down there. Like Louisiana is a piece of it too. We all have this, like, you know, it's just amazing when you think about that, where the location is.
Yeah, the soil you
Yeah.
stand on.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible. Hey, Brad, I see you don't have your camera on, but maybe you're saving up your bandwidth. But so go ahead. Good
No,
to see
it's not
you.
bandwidth. I'm on the road right now, so that's why I ain't got my camera on. But and so tell me if my sound is bad too. But I'm kind of curious what you guys think in terms of, because I know there's all these parallels to Germany, right? But the thing that I'm curious about is in that situation, because we've seen the same similar markers come up. But in that one, it seemed like as they went along, they got sort of more of a unified sort of support and sort of the base as far as the congealing. And they had an enemy that was, okay, it was the Jews, but it was also, you know, minorities, basically, right? And so there was this whole idea of the pure white, if you want to. But the difference in Turtle Island over here that I'm wondering about and I'm wondering how to play out, it seems to be in this context that those that are kind of, if you want to say, identifying in that mindset, right, they seem to be being funneled down into a condensed and more condensed minority. And what I mean by that is in the sense that, like, you don't have like the entirety of, you know, pale skinned people saying, yes, these ICE folks should be locking those hands up. Yes, we should be removed. Like I see a large portion of the population as a whole of all skin tones kind of not going along with that. And that's what I wonder if what y'all think in terms of maybe the difference in how it was playing out in Germany. Because in Germany, right, and I do wonder if this is how history stacks in a way too, because we've all heard that first they came for them and I said nothing. Then they came for them and said nothing. Well, as soon as this ICE thing started, I feel like you have an entire block who at inception point was like, this is fucked up. And as it's gone on, and I'm just judging from where I'm at and the people I'm around, and I'm including MAGA folks, right? When Donald Trump got elected this last time, and here's another thing that blows my mind. I was talking to one of my buddies, he's black, that we was playing tennis the other day, and we were talking about it, and of course he's feeling sort of sheepish because he's talking about, he's like, yeah, I voted for Trump too. And again, I'm not blaming you for any of that. But what I'm saying is, I saw a lot of people vote for Trump, and after this last election, excited, and all I've seen is more and more people drop off. And like when I look at my family and things like that, my dad is like the last lone holdout among sort of this circle of our family. And again, the white. So like my uncle, my some family friends, where they were more Republican leaning, right? And so they voted Trump, but none of them are defending him. They've all sort of kind of stepped away from it, and that's kind of getting to the point of my question, seeing what you guys think of the difference between now and Germany. And you get my point. It seems like the support is waning, which is why almost the action is getting sort of more on the nose and kind of messed up. You know what I'm saying? Afraid. And like the thing with Venezuela mirroring Iraq, but now it's way more overt. Now it's not even like we're pretending. And everyone who lived through Iraq, it's like you can't even pretend. It's like you're going to gullible enough to fall for it unless you are this shrinking minority that has made this stand in there. And not only are they the most scared and the most prone to violence, but they're also, I think that the mentality seems to be, and I really see this clearly, intimately with my dad and how he plays it. It's more, I've made a stand, and I don't care how messed up or how twisted I have to do to justify it. I am not going to change my mind, because that would mean admitting I've been wrong this whole time. And that is one thing I'm not going to do. But that seems to be, like I said, people are falling off of that, I think. And so it makes me think that people who are holding on to that the hardest are kind of driving themselves a little bit batty. And I hate to y'all know, kind of mention what's going on with my dad, but I hate it, but I also can't deny that the cortisol that stacks in our body when we hold certain thoughts and certain rage, that does affect our health, and that does drive sort of conditions. And so that's what I'm kind of wondering, to wrap it up, is that minority really just twisting themselves into a space where they might act out violently in this way, but I don't think that they would be the majority. So I don't think that it's like they would be able to steamroll anything. But that's really all I got. And that's what's curious what y'all think.
The
Yeah,
key
go ahead,
to
Rick.
Hitler is, thanks. The key, I think, to understanding what was happening is that it required of a violent mob of deviants, sort of a Clockwork Orange gang, and like 18 months of like 2 to 7 years of like serious work to get their guy in charge. And as soon as he got in charge, he had to burn down the Congress to stay there. And actually, the first people were the communists. The Reichstag was burnt down because it had communists. The justification for burning that down is that, well, we have to burn this down because there's communists, and they're controlling, and they're the ones that have destroyed all of this. It was the communists. So it shows you that this has to be a minority that was doing this, Brad, and that minority needed to utilize propaganda and violence. And I think the biggest lesson is the majority had an appetite for apathy about it. This is where most of change is either thwarted or surged, right? And ultimately, I cannot think of something more intrinsically enlightening than watching your neighbors do this to each other. It The cortisol is real because this is what's required to pilate you, to pilo-erect you, to cause you to stand up and preserve what you consider your vibration, right? So there would be no other vibration that would do this. This is, excuse me, this is the definition of the great chief shaking the laurels of war and peace. You're not going to
Sure.
be able to come in and say, "Hey, Oprah and Dr. John, I don't know who that is, but are here to talk about. We're going to do some meditation. Everyone's going to, well, hey guys, let's all meet after lunch voluntarily, and like it'd be great. It'd be fucking great. But if you really, really care about this, if you really want to see something happen, you're going to need to put this mask on.
Mm.
You're going to need to get in a tank. We're going to need to put out some flyers. We're going to have to distribute some violence. If you really want to wake this place up, you're going to have to heyoka these people. You're going to have to use principles of manipulation. And if you put more than 40% of that into yourself, you're going to start to commit to this great work, and it's going to become something beyond you. You're going to lose your identity, and you're going to practice the same kind of fascism, the exact same kind of fascism as they are. And you're going to
I'm
force
also
everyone to have an esoteric hermetic badge, which means no one will ever get it. Like no one will get it then. It destroys making a seating chart destroys knowing how people feel about each other, who likes who, who wants to sit with who. It's there's no other way to do it, you know?
well, real quick because I'm glad you mentioned apathy, and I'm wondering if that's an aspect of it too. Is the fact that some of this stuff is happening. It's like I think like a lot of people who probably were apathetic are. It's kind of accomplishing that on the other side. Like they're really. I see a lot of people like paying more attention to it because of how overt things are. Do you know what I mean? Like this working on that side of too. Like people who would rather be apathetic and non-political and stuff like this, but when it's happening in your backyard and you're seeing some messed up stuff happening, it's almost like that's kind of opening people up too and waking people up to the situation, to be paying maybe more, to become more conscious maybe.
You know,
But
I
I
used to be in Earth First, and those guys get pretty jiggy with it. Like they don't mind getting illegal. And I when I was younger, that turned me on. I felt cutting edge. I went on a wood chip operation. Uh, I don't want to talk about it, but did some things that I think were very minor, honestly, but made me feel bad. Like seriously, if I told you how minor it
Mhm.
was, you'd start laughing. But seriously, it made me feel bad. It made me realize I'm committing vandalism for the spiritual power of feeling good. I'm hiding in the woods. I have paint on my face. I've got a walkie-talkie, for God's sakes. We've discussed that we're going to pretend like we're plumbers working late at night. We have secret codes. Like it was fun as fuck. I've never felt more alive. And I felt that I was working for the Ewoks and that I was one of them, you know? Well, like who would not want to do that? And this is what I meant earlier by it makes you start to think about psychopathic jaguarism. Like I picture the idea of, dude, you know how much fun it would be to like hunt down fucking ice agents and just fucking kill them? I would prefer to actually capture them and collect them somewhere and do something really creative with them, like really fun.
oh
And,
yeah,
and it's going to be very dangerous. It's a lot of work. And even as I'm thinking this through, I'm just like, yeah, James, you should not be in charge. And it always pulls me back into the turtle. It always pulls me back into this is all exactly what's supposed to happen because I would become the fascist the moment I did that. It's so
right, yeah,
what do you fucking do, you know? And honestly, the answer is going to be you're going to have to fucking suffer under perfection. You're going to find a way to suffer this perfectly. It's going to become a something you're going to really find is something you can love the same way the thalamus does it to us. And so I think ultimately omniscience is us coming to know that any of us are encouraged to be violent as long as we get it out and move past it. And ultimately, that's really the only answer. This is the rattle and the hum of war and peace. It's really is a call. Are you sure you don't have any violence? And everyone's like, no, 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 we're fine. And it's like, okay, I'm going to turn up the sun. And everyone's just like, are you sure you don't want to have violence? And 3% are like, I think we should have some violence. I think it'd be great. And you get enough and it starts to commission itself the same way the Spanish flu led us into World War I and II, didn't it? Exact same thing. You're looking at a vibrational change, a conscious shift, a solar fucking flare that's telling you, hey, watch this. You guys still good? You still hanging on? Everybody still want to live here? You're all like, oh, we love life. Well, how about now? Yeah.
Like
That's what it feels like.
dodgeball.
That's what it feels like because they're ultimately asking who wants this the most, who wants this the most. And I can't deny that the world would need a structure like that. I see how competitive people are. There's going to be one guy that wants to be the last Nimrod. He's willing to sell every part of his soul because he wants to be the face of this machine. I get it. I do. I don't want it, but I totally get it. And I don't want to be the fascist that's trying to take that away. It's a delicate destruction, isn't it? Isn't this self-annihilating what I'm talking about? And isn't this the magic of all gods? Is this self-annihilating voluntarism? Like the practice of self-annihilation? It's hard because you're working against that your whole life. Then you get to an enlightened space. Now you're like, well, so I'm going to annihilate myself? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Because when you start to chew off your own arms, you're just like, this is a horrible idea. Why am I doing this? You know, that's all I got.
Mm. Yeah, Brad, when you mentioned Iraq, this Venezuela thing did recall that with me. I remember, and like Lori said, the New York Times, Judith Miller really was down with the Iraq War, and I knew that was just baloney from the get go, and yet we're still off to war. And I'm hoping that people will see through that, like I saw through that whenever we invaded Iraq, how many years ago. I'm like, you guys don't see this, so maybe this will be a bit of an eye-opening. And one thing that I thought was interesting was in Minnesota, they were throwing snowballs at the ICE agents, which had a bit of an ironic play with that. Laura, your hands up. Go right ahead.
I'm flashing back to my experience at Standing Rock, and they called the 7 generations forth, and it was all peaceful. And like they said, you turn up the sun. You sure you want to stay peaceful? Then the money started to come in, and the military gear started coming in, and the peaceful 7th generation and all the rainbow people that came in to assist this prayer that they were setting down in the fire became militant. They were getting bullets, the rubber bullets, and they were vandalizing the equipment. They were tying themselves to the street, and they were getting arrested and put into jails that there was no bail. And I was there when Donald Trump got elected the first time. I was on another team at the time, and I was like horrified at the experience. But then I watched both sides do the same thing. There was an infiltration, there was a mind control, and then the oppressed became oppressors. It was this thing that is so tempting. And I think it's the wolf stuff that you were doing, James. It's like there's a part of everyone that's just like this animal instinct. You're going to put your clothes down, you're going to pee around it's going to turn to stone. And when you're done being your warrior, you come back and your clothes are there. You got a wound you have to tend. But that I like that you did the thing about it's inside of all of us. That is one person. It's not the good is only going to be the good. It's our shadow has to be overcome by light. Like you have to overcome the shadow. You have to make the light. And I was horrified. I sat at the fire, like praying as these native, supposedly, these chiefs. The chiefs are traumatized. They've been like traumatized for 100 years, 200 years, whatever we've been doing. And they're angry. And they're looking at the color of your skin and not seeing you're native. They don't see that. And they're talking about how oppressed they are and what happened to them. I mean, it's like this perfect storm that we're in right now, and that's all I got.
Thanks, Lori. Yeah, what a experience to have had. Wow. I knew you were there. You've spoken before, but I didn't realize what came as far as rubber bullets being shot. Wow. How many days were you there? Like, how long after that
I was there for 2 weeks, right? Like right before they shut the camp down and bulldozed everything. But it got really violent at the end, like really violent. People were really hurt.
It also
And
got really cold, right?
it got really cold.
And weren't they spraying like water hoses on
Oh yeah.
on the encamp? I'm just saying
And
it's
they
like
were they were defending their sacred holy mountain where their ancestors were buried, rightfully so. Everything was rightfully so, but it went from peaceful to extremely violent. And they, yeah, there was secret missions, and there was sabotaging this and going to destroy that, and it went from a prayer into something that they hated about the other team, and they became the other team.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, and it was, I don't know. I watched how it turned. It just went like so fast. It just flipped.
Was it egregoric, would you say? Would you say like this larger entity kind of took over both factions?
It's
Because
it
you
it
are
got
my enemy and you are obviously my brother or sister because of your color of your skin or what you're wearing. But that can happen so quickly. You don't know
yeah.
anybody, but
They
because
they weren't balanced.
yeah.
So they weren't balanced, and all of a sudden, all this money came in, all this attention came in. The tribe elders got a lot of I don't know, like a validation, and then as soon as that validation came in, they forgot the purpose, which was this prayer purpose, and it became a righteous purpose. It's like I need to be right.
Mm.
Like Brad's talking about his dad. It's like, well, I want to say I have people in my life that have always been on the blue team, and I was a blue team person. I had, I don't have either wing right now, but I got budding purple wings. And but they asked me, what do you think's going on? Instead of going into the narrative, they actually asked, what do you think's going on? They didn't buy into the narrative anymore. So I think people are really waking up, so I think it's kind of a good thing. And I think it's tempting for us to get onto, looking at Minnesota, and, we're looking through the consciousness of whoever filmed that you watched. Like, how do we really know unless we're zetetically there and feeling what that felt like to have that, these beautiful chiefs, beautiful wisdom, wounded, really wounded. We all are, doing the best we can. But you see, I seen that thing flipping. It goes from like a good intention to I'm just like them. So I hope it's getting better. That's all I got.
Hey, Clinton, go right ahead.
Hi guys. I think it seems to me like the group is the problem when you come down to it, right? It's what divides us all. And when we talk about the group, we deny the fact that we're one giant group, right? And so this thing with the video in Minnesota, it's not too far off from a ballot box being filmed before it catches fire as well, though. So it's all kind of like it's triggering and so but when we get in groups, we're only as good as the weakest link. And then someone grabs something from the stack of bricks, or a instigator throws a cocktail, and it's never part of the solution, right? We get the group based on telling what would be like probably the less aware what our agenda is, and then we start vandalizing whoever is against whatever we are for, which is not fixing anything at all, right? So anti-war is still war. And I think we're in a time where it's like that felt on the deer's antlers, James, and we need to kind of generate some new growth. And it seems with all of your research and the stuff that you've brought to the table that this is pretty much scripted, and it doesn't resemble anything because it's the same people that wrote it all out. And so we used to be able to, the fanaticism is getting a little different where there are people seeing it's like, there's the team corporation, or it's like anti-capitalist is what it's going to be. And then the gold standard's gone, right? So the new thing's going to have to come in, like Lori's talking about. And Renee was bringing up the fact that like that Afghan stuff, like I have 3 plates and 6 screws in my face, or it's actually like I have three plates and like 12 screws in my face. But the guy who did my surgery, he's head of the maxillofacial stuff. So he was donating time to the guys in Afghanistan when we were going after the first dude over there. And in the mess hall eating lunch with him was Bin Laden, And so it's strange to me that like everyone's kind of on the same team until they're not. So we just play the parts. And Hollywood does the same thing. They're like the OG influencers, and now we don't need them. We get these agendas fed to us on the social networks, and so it's hard to be an individual. I think that's the huge fight. We get this chance to break out of a hive mentality because there's no part of this thing is like for James or for Lauren or for Nancy. This whole thing is like for the thing. We're just kidnapping people on TV, and they look cool. They're like wearing really cool Nike jumpsuits and stuff like that. Like everyone looks cool as shit when this stuff's going down, and no one's serious. Like Trump's talking about his wife's underwear drawer and shit. Is this stuff real, you guys? Like, it's hard for me. So I feel like it's really misleading. It's hard to stay grounded. That's where we started out this whole conversation. It's really hard to stay grounded. So with nothing else to say, it's just like be true. And like maybe when you don't have anything and your neighbor does, don't be afraid to ask for the cup of sugar or the milk, and don't be afraid to share, because we will get to that place before we don't, I think. We will be the third world country that everyone used to talk about. So that's all I got.
America third.
I keep thinking about how it is such an amazing opportunity just to be alive right now. Looking around, it's like, this is the worst ever, but it is the worst of times. It is the best of times. So I'm just happy to be here with you guys in the dojo. Hi, Nancy, go right ahead.
Best apocalypse ever, James.
That's right.
Hey, everybody. So good to see everybody. So like you, Lori, I don't really I hear stuff. So what I've been getting since this full moon's been very visceral. I keep getting, just let it go. Just let it go. Surrender. Like, it's like, God's in charge or sources in charge of everything. I'm just starting to really kind of trust more, even with all the some of the frequencies are weird. I agree with you, Renee, and they're just weird. And so my husband heard something, and I did as well. NASA put out that this August, these 2 black holes are going to create a 7-minute, I'm not kidding you, a 7-minute, we're all going to be like, floating around. There's not going to be any, look it up. It's like, I saw it and I'm like, oh gosh, like you, Clinton, it's like, I see some of these stories are like, it just makes me believe we're in shape. This is Shakespeare. We're like playing just all these roles but I really feel like it is playing out. It looks awful. It just looks horrible because the dross is up and it's got to be looked at, dealt with, felt, whatever, let go. And I'm finding my enthusiasm, James. You sparked my enthusiasm the other day by saying, oh, you were talking about enthusiasm. And I even was AI and some of that. And that's like a really good connection to you. And this is like the first time in my life. I know I'm all over the place. I feel like I am literally a child again. I mean, in an adult body. I am having like perspectives are changing. Like somebody was saying that a couple dojos ago. I'm like, I'm just seeing things differently in more of a constructive, for the good of all way. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just flowing and and I live in Maryland, a little bit northwest, and we had a spring day today. So I was able to go outside. I took this long walk, and I'm just like, I that's where I gotta go. I gotta go outside. And if I can't, then I put myself inside Mama Earth. I have a little place where I go in the earth with crystals and everything. And I just go there with her because she's a big part of our healing. And anyway, I know I'm really rambling, but thank you. I just love to hang out with you guys.
So do you have an altar in your home, or is it outside where you go to, or both? If you don't go outside, do you have some place in your house where you have kind of like something set up just for your practice, your spiritual practice?
Well, I have my art room. I'm in my art room now. No, all my spiritual practice, a lot of it's more inside. I do a lot of rituals on the inside. Like I imagine that I do them. And now I'm starting to bring that more out here. I don't really have vitriol, but that picture I took, and I love the crown, my crone crown. But when I put that picture out, something shifted. It was like, that was me. And I think I'm still discovering who the hell is me. I mean, I've just been do I do that or do I do this, throughout life? And everything felt distorted growing up. Everything just felt distorted, except for Mother Nature. People just were distorted in my experience. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest misnomers I've noticed is that whenever people start to wake up, that people maybe expect more tranquility. And I don't, I've never seen that once. Like, I'm just saying, I've never once seen that play out. I mean, if it did play out, I think it was like a perfect accident where it happened to just play out that way. Most of the time, it's an opportunity for movement, and when you smash electrons together, you're going to get some light, right? You're going to get some energy is going to pop out of that because the orbit's changing. Someone's changing orbit, and this is ultimately what keeps us where we are. So when you think about how to penetrate the field state, us as being a sort of Ewokian turtle force, we would need to utilize the guerrilla tactics that would be there just to pollinate people. I'm just, even just to pollinate them. And that we would need, our main resource, our main form of gunpowder, quite honestly, would be angst. That the angst that was around us could be harvested into a spell, and that spell would be a magic that would lead to change. And this is why you do things in your life. You get intolerant of your position because it becomes untenable, and then you change. Nothing. That's the order, guys. Like, that's the order of it. And you ignore things as long as you can until you can't. When you think back to the wolf stuff, and you think back to, it's something as simple as having some wine at a best friend's house, deciding you really want to get a little Priapus going, and you decide you're going to risk your life and limb to go venture to the house, and now you're out in the woods, the moon's out, you think you're going to maybe get lucky, and you're risking your life. You have now put yourself into a psychic trance where you're a different person now. Right? And in order to survive that, your psyche's either warm-blooded enough to maintain an isolated shell of lies, honestly, that keep persisting. Your name's John Jacob Jekyll Irish Smith. This is your social security number. This is your identity. This is who you are. This is who you are. This is who you are. And there's nothing about your DNA that requires you to stick with one name. There's nothing about it that requires you to uh, maintain fucking gender. You're literally pleomorphic. You can grow a tail if you want. Like, I have no beef with that. Guy's like, fine, some of you do that. It's amazing. She's like, look at it. Some of you have 6 fingers. Way to go. Right? And you can do all this stuff. So the only way that we would ever start to utilize these things would for things to be untenable. Like, this really is the only ingredient. And it's really, life is a constant consensual contract with I want to be here. And you show that every day simply by following comfort. Like, it's such a base level of like agreement here. And maybe this is where we struggle with. I think we're addicted to being here. I think we're so addicted to being here that we start to feel trapped because the haptic interface that we're in is so realistic that it's hard to sort of think about. The identity crystals that are formed around you, you're surrounded by a DNA signature. Like, there's nowhere, if you think about who you truly are, you cannot look at the world without seeing through yourself. There's no way that you would not be able to see through all your dinucleic acid or whatever. You wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be able to function if you weren't constantly transcribing an agreement that, are you here? Yes, I'm here. You have to say that every moment. I'm here. I'm here. You're present. You're coming to school. And that's really what fucks us all. I mean this in a glorious way. That's what fucks us. We're saying we're here. Every moment we're saying that. And I think this is why it makes it sometimes more cortisol, a little bit harder for us. We're just so into being here. And it's kind of hypocritical when you find yourself, in these things. Keep in mind, we don't have a society that even allocates for, hey, maybe some people don't want to be here. We don't have that. That's not allowed, guys. We tried to do that with Kevorkian, that archetype. I mean, we showed where we're at the same way we're showing where we're at now with as little excuses as it takes. I'll say this though, if you think about how most of the message, the Alex Jones message, which I know many would never attribute this to Alex Jones, but I think it's fair to do that. Most of the Alex Jones message is everything's controlled. And it's controlled by a certain elite, and these certain elite decide things. And I just wanted to say that when I watch Trump now, I've never been more convinced that that's not true. And I've never been more convinced that it is controlled. But we're going back to Templo Mayor control. We're going back to a chemical secreted from the turtle shell that is causing you to act this way. And it's giving you the feedback that says, hey, maybe this is an opportunity. It's opportunities to express angst. And
I
that's
think it's
as foolish.
trying to get us to grow a new crystal, like the old way is, or maybe to return to the real way, which would be more natural with the flow of it, right? Because the machine is definitely a facade that, like you're saying, like anybody can decide to play the game. Like he decided to break it, and now it's definitely like you got to just, the fire will start. It maybe didn't burn yet, but it seemingly is getting there, But I think, yeah, it's just because we don't want to be governed by our parents. Like it's just the old way. We don't have to walk. We don't have to walk uphill both ways to school. It's like not possible. Like this stuff that you don't have to do that. And like it's funny that the people that took the check to be these ICE agents are the people who would be the first to say that universal basic income is fucked. But they're the first ones to take it and then bully people for the money, as opposed to just being like, we could all eat and be nice, And then they say that, like, yeah, what, you got ICE and Antifa, and I think one is fake and one is very much real, I don't know. But I think we can't get past this thing. It's just an evolution we have to be ready to do.
all that money weakens those ICE agents. It puts them into a long-term contract where they're kind of like my dad, where they're just like, I'm supposed to be proud because I planted all those landmines. Like it's there. And I think ultimately the fact that the largest employer is the Defense Department is an unavoidable part of this that's almost impossible to see a solution out of. Because ultimately you're going to have to take a, not but the conscious American would have to take a hit. They would have to want to become a second world country so that the third world would become a second world country too. They would have to want to regulate. They would have to want to, look, you got to let the crazy guy in. Well, no. So, yeah, you got to let the crazy guy in. Look, you're a fucking psychopath. Why are you pretending that like we can't let the crazy, look at you. And we're not ready to look at ourselves yet. I think when we clown ourselves enough, I think we will let that psychopath in. I mean, we will let that third world in. We'll know that we fucking need that we are so fucking crazy. We are so insanely off that we're willing to try everything. Until that happens, though, I think you're looking at some more fascism around vaccines next. And I think the rebound when the left takes over, it's going to be some serious fucking revenge. And I think you may see some good things out of it, but I think you'll see as many good things as you saw out of Trump, because this will be the last thing that the turtle would want to do, is to make everything okay. I do take solace when I look at how shitty people are, because it really does make me feel, oh, I get it. Like that helps. So I'm not in the camp of, when I say everything's perfect, I literally say it's perfect because of how fucking broken it is. Well, like that's a part of the equation. If that's helps anyone or if it hurts anyone, I'm sorry, but that's a big part of it for me. Is that the disgust that I see, hey, let's fucking kidnap that guy. Let's bury some shipping containers. I need a budget. Let's bury some shipping containers. And let's put this little drop box where you just drive by and just drop the ICE agent off into this hole. He falls down the hole, the rest of them, and you've got vending machines there, and they're all Mexican, they're all Spanish, and everything's they're gonna be okay. We're gonna take care of it. It's like, you don't want me this. That we need this. I know you guys know that, but
Yeah. It just seems like it's the time. It's, with Pluto being in Aquarius for until 2044. We've got a lot of revealing to do. And within that hidden place is the treasure that we seek.
Think about all the Indians. Think about all the violence that's just whispering through the trees from just 200 years ago. Like, guys, I cannot, when I read these stories, sometimes I start to freak out because I try and imagine how my psyche could have survived back then. Where you're just like, hey, let's get in a wagon and let's just go like 3 miles an hour across like foreign territory with people that we shoot things at. And then let's carry a bunch of valuable shit inside our wagon. And let's really, really, really make everything pristine. Let's do that. What could happen? What's the worst that can happen? Come on, there's gold. It's a buttload of gold, man. Montezuma. There's your revenge. Like, if you, even the terror, like both sides, like fucking look at what it takes to be a Comanche, like even to be one of those guys, like what you had to go through to wake up one day and go, yeah, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to fucking do this.
And yet, they walked. They put all their possessions in the wagon and they walked from Missouri all the way out over mountains. Yeah. And I was just thinking, and they knew they were taking their family and some of them were going to die.
Yeah, they knew it. Like
they did. They
like
knew
1/4 sometimes, like 25%.
Crazy.
Of a wagon train is like, dude, you guys ain't going to make it.
And they had to have all their provisions for the like until they got to the next.
Yeah.
It's just the thought of that kind of level of how bad can it be that you'd want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes you think of what it was truly like in New York. Seriously.
Yeah.
To be like, I got to get the fuck out of here. These people are nuts. They're so nuts. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to fucking go out there.
The unknown.
Yeah, I'm going to go out there. And I'm going to follow the same trail. There's literally, if you look at what is the Oregon Trail? It's like a fast food restaurant for like indigenous violent Indians that are mad. Like it really is. It's just like, oh, they're all going to, wait a minute. Tonto, they're literally all walking this. Yeah. Yeah. They want this. They want you to take them. Why do they keep coming? They want this. And they're ready to be opened. That gauntlet, that terror, this is a desperation to get back to the third world. It's like, get me the fuck out of London. I will be an indentured servant. I will get on the boat. I will get on the boat. I will indenture myself to someone else. Get me the fuck out of here. Get me the fuck out of here. Just what was you can't even imagine. Like, isn't it weird to picture how terrifying the wilderness is and to realize that there was a place called civilization that was even scarier? like wandering around the streets of London, being all like, "Oh, I'm sure everything's fine."
I was thinking about like we have credit cards now and like how many people have like this credit card debt, right? And that's like a form of enslavement. And then I was thinking that a lot of the people in London and there's debtor's prison.
Mhm.
You couldn't borrow any money. You had to it's just like this whole like the brutality of what happens if you had a provider and then you have like 3 kids or something and there's no providers. That's it. You're in the debtor's prison.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather put myself on a boat and be an indentured servant in some kind of new thing than if that was the
Yeah.
choice.
Not to mention all the propaganda you were heard. You don't even know where you're really going. You really don't. You have no idea. You've been told a bunch of women with no shirts. I'm serious. A bunch of topless women giving out fruit, desperate for white Christian nationalism. Like that's in their fucking brochure. And you could say, well, that's dumb. No, think about how gullible. Think about how fucking gullible you had to be wandering around in London, like the shittiest conditions in the world. And there's this magical pass that you can get on where the land of fruit, like how it shows you where consciousness is. It shows you where we are now. And if you think about the wolf story, I want you to think about the fact that you become this wolf right now and you don't know it. That you walk home and in the middle of your journey, you become this same wolf and you disassociate from it and you say it's this other entity and it's not. And the only way that you're ever going to find out about it is you're going to hopefully, if you're blessed, you're going to wake up with a wound. You're going to wake up with proof that you're doing something that you're not aware of. All this is angst. All this has to look like this, And that,
Well, when I was on the radio and that grunting noise, well, one of my friends from
Yeah.
this area said it's wild boar. A lot
I
of
was
wild
thinking that.
boar. Yeah. But I was thinking about what happens when you're the wolf going off to use this Priapus and he's in a altered state. Well, I can only tell you what happened to my brain. I stopped being rational. I couldn't listen. I had to hear that grunting noises outside my van. I went into like I wasn't in my full thinking mind. I couldn't hear anymore. So I think I have compassion for people in this, like Clinton was talking about the crowd. You get in this crowd and then all of a sudden it's like these chemicals start to activate. One person picks up a brick, it starts to get, and you're not in a rational mind anymore. You're in some kind of wolf, something.
Like an
You could
algorithm.
Yeah.
You're trapped in an agency algorithm. If you think about it, the agency has a desire and the desire becomes fully multiplex. Everything starts to work towards that same goal because why not? The only thing that you have to pull the reins is a bastardized brand new tumor that you've just grown just a few tens of thousands of years ago, really. And that it still hasn't even fully connected to itself. So yeah, it would blind you from all those things. That tunnel vision is just normal everyday life, which means you and I have tunnel vision right now, and this is good news. You and I who feel lit, like literally, you're allowed to feel lit. Look around. It's not hard to feel fucking lit. Seriously. It's not hard to feel like, oh, I must be woke. And that ultimately you have tunnel vision right now. This lit feeling is tunnel vision. That's cool. That is actually cool. It's not bad. It's cool as fuck. And probably when you experience epiphany, probably when you experience ecstasy, you're probably stepping out of that. That joy quotient you feel is probably you stepping out of that. You're activating this different kind of motor, you know? The food pyramid inverted. That happened
Yeah.
today. The food pyramid inverted. And all the experts that were telling you that you should never doubt the fucking system are telling you you're a fucking idiot if you trust this system right now.
Hey,
And they don't notice. They do not notice the hypocrisy there. You can point it out all you want. They do not notice.
So what was on the bottom and what went to the top?
Now chicken. They want
Chicken's
you to have
on the
chicken.
top.
They want you to eat chicken.
They want you to eat protein.
Protein.
A big old
Yeah.
hunk of protein.
All protein, no sugar.
Venezuela.
Yeah, they rejected all the sugar. And the protein's all at the top.
Oh,
And
so
this
they
is
want
the antithesis of the 80s until now. I swear, it's the antithesis. It's inverted.
It's the keto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caveman, keto mentality.
Caveman.
Yep.
Well, I think when you're tuned to the collective and something happens and you get pulled towards that direction, it's more of a group than an individual, because you're relying more on doctrine than you are on your own somatic way your body feels about what's happening. But you only know what the way your internal body somatic feels is when you actually are in tune with your body. And that requires a place to feel safe, that you can express yourself. When you were talking about angst, when I separated from Bruce, it was really like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I cannot do this anymore. It took a lot of me just like, I can fix this. I can fix this. But when it finally landed that like, this is not going to work, it was because I was full of angst. I'm like, you don't care what I even talk about. You could care less what I'm talking about. This is not going to work for me. You know what I mean? But that was him showing me that he couldn't go that far. Like, I can't even go where you're going. So that did make me move in a certain way. So that is true. You move when you can no longer handle a situation. You just can't handle it. So I'm blessed because of that. And we all have blessings that can spill out of that. If you can get back into your body and get to know yourself, because if you don't, you're just going to go along with your friend group or whatever, and the friends at the bar or whatever you're doing. So it's really a hermetic path too. It really is pretty.
Speaking of hermetics, this idea of being cornered, isn't this a Masonic? Think about it. The Masons build themselves on the cornerstone, and you being cornered is a kind of cornerstone, isn't it? Like, thank God for corners. Thank God for the ability for us to be trapped in these tiny holes where we feel threatened so much that we're able to collect enough angst, like in our parabola dish, and finally use it, to spring our way out. It's the cornerstone. Freemason evil, mother.
I know, but they had to hold that for us. There was so much great work that's going on and still going on. And I think this is such a great time to produce some work or some art or some play.
I have a question. Oh, I have a question when you're ready, Renee.
Oh, go ahead, Nancy.
So aren't we like coming into alignments that we've never had before and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's like, we don't know really how this is going to play out. I mean, we can go by history, and I'm sure a lot of that I feel this excitement, and I'm excited. I mean, I have days where you are too, though, James, and I get really bummed out. It's like, what the fuck is all, and I know you probably really don't go there, but I have. And I don't know. I just feel like I just keep feeling we're just shedding. We're just shedding shit. Old stories and ways of relate, all the distorted ways of where we got ourselves. And now we're coming back to ourselves. Yeah, coming back to ourselves.
I think the ancestors that you're working with, whether it be grandparents or great grandparents, they're feeling that relief. Like you're giving them relief because you're able to compassionate them, not even necessarily by name, but just by energy, and something that you're able to alchemize. Alchemize is something in your past lineage that then responds to your future selves. So it's all happening at the same time, which I think is pretty cool. Go ahead, Lori.
Well, I just wanted to say, Renee, I really, when you told that little piece of the story, I didn't see it that way. I dreamt about my ex-husband last night, and he's a wonderful human. He just couldn't ever go where I needed to go, and I was harming him because I was trying to wake him up to go someplace. And it's like the best thing ever is that it's like an honor and a respect that I'm going here, and that isn't better than. It's just that it was a cornered, and that is that cornerstone of like a growth, like there's this ability, and it's like there's very, and I don't mean to sound like grandiose or anything, but there's very few people that can talk like we talk here in Dojo, or it's just really rare. And I guess I get more, I'm excited about what's going to break through, and I'm hoping it's a breakthrough in consciousness, because it's a little it's limiting when you have to go onto the internet to have a conversation. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm hoping that happens, the consciousness shifts. It's my intention.
Yeah, meanwhile, it's so great to meet everyone from all over the world. I mean, my goodness, this is just it's such a wonderful Aquarian, just like music that we can take wherever we go. I love that. I'm loving the Zoom. I'm loving seeing and meeting people and just growing with y'all, and and parting ways if we need to. You know what I mean? It's I hope that we kind of get a little better with that. It's interesting as we do grow and change and go through different Saturn returns. If we can, but it has to be full of a lot of angst. It is. I mean, you can understand why one has to leave, and it has to be a certain way, and but that's part of it. That's part of Gaia's plan. Okay, go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. It's nice having you as the mod too
Oh yeah.
for a little while.
Wow.
Anyway, I just wanted to point out I've really been enjoying your shares, Nancy. I mean, you have just been beaming lately. Your name, like it's being fulfilled. It's beautiful to see. It seems like that initiation into crondom really suits you well. Like you've really embraced that energy. And it's been a pleasure to see, seeing you blooming and growing. But yeah, the sun is more intense, and likewise the moon is going to be more intense, and I think it's going to be that way going forward. And it's going to wake up a lot of people, but these people, we got to realize they're waking up wounded. And so there's going to be a lot of turmoil still that we have to deal with, even though we keep that optimism and that love and that happiness in our hearts. We're going to see it. All right, all around us, but light is the harbinger of spin. I think you said that, James. So we're all just coming into these new vibrations. And one thing that I remember reading is all birth is in pain and all change is necessarily slow. So knowing that and having the patience for what we see around us, holding that field of love, it's going to be a tricky balance. But I think a lot of us here have the ability to do that.
Thank you, Lauren. Beautiful share. Beautiful share. Just amazing. And Nancy, I have also noticed, I mean, I've seen you go through things all these years together. Oh my gosh. But I think the big breakthrough was what was your last separation from that friend seems to be a really big one that made a huge impact. And I got to meet Faith and lovely woman, beautiful voice. But you know, when those types of things happen, I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't bring that up, but you know, it's good for both sides of the parties. I believe, you know what I mean, that the path that we are all meant to carry on at that point is really very ancestral. Like, let's go, because you love yourself, you love your lineage, you love your grandkids, your to be, you know. So it's thank you for holding that light for us, you Nancy Beam. You Beamer. Okay, go ahead, James.
I'm gonna sound like a kind of
Oh,
I'm gonna sound like a kind of judgmental here, and I don't expect you to entertain this, but the this place is a Loosh farm, prison planet Loosh farm idea. I want to pick on that for a little bit because it's keeps surging with popularity, and the reason why I told you guys earlier what I said about COVID, I just want to link it to that if you believe this place is a soul trap, it would be because you would feel that you could not get out. And if you felt that you could not get out, it would be precisely because you were addicted to this world. You were not in love with this world. And these are not being addicted to someone versus being in love to someone, I think would be a kind of distinction that would take centuries to even understand the difference between the two.
Well, I can share, James, that and like what you said, Renee, it was the healing. Oh, it was a rough I was very hurt. And we both were. Um but I faced it head on, and it took me back to my being a twin. I healed a lot of things because she cut me off when I was 13 because of something horrific that happened. And but that was like the best thing that happened to me back then. And so far this has been like, and I know, you know, for her even, I know that this is a good, we both needed to be in this like tower moment, whatever. But it's also prepared me though for what, like this new stuff that's coming online with my family stuff. So I have like my wolf is in there, and I'm like saying things, and I'm like, oh, I won't be able, I won't be agreeing to. I'm just, things are just like coming out because I decided really to align with me for the first time, and who knows how many for whatever, and I'm doing it. And even if I feel like I get thrown off, I'm starting to know that's a part of it. I'm not like resisting. I used to resist so much, so everything, because it just was so so now I'm like, everybody knows what that means, right? I'm sorry. So anyway, I'm really like, well, I think we're blooming. Some of us are blooming.
we are regrooving. We're regrooving.
I like that.
We already know the tracks. We already know our individual path. It's just to get into the groove and to read. We're not fixing anything. We're just regrooving into our authentic, individualized peephole of God that each of us all are. And that's where I think that's where I, you know, go into, you know, everyone's a peephole of God. And they're all at different stages of bloom, and their ancestral lineage is all at different stages of becoming or beyonding or just becoming some good soil, some good compost, as we all will be. We never leave this place. Our bones stay here. We stay with Mother. You know, our spirit moves around. So that gives me a lot of peace. That even though it's I have to say with COVID, I was talking to a client of mine, and he mentioned that he was just embarrassed about COVID. He's like, I'm so embarrassed now. I don't even want to think about it, because he did all the things, and of course me being, oh, you know, I didn't do nothing. He's like, yeah, Renee, I know. But the embarrassment and quite frankly, the fact that he doesn't want to think about it, that's how we are where we are right now, because we don't want to think about these things where we probably, I mean, the line was meant, the line was meant for him and mine and whatever path we've been on. But if you can't go back and just like give yourself a good, like, maybe there's something I need to unlearn here. And I love that. I love that magnet on my fridge, James, because there always is so much to unlearn. And that just creates more space, like to have people in your lives that I have a lot of people in my life that I no longer see, from many years of relationships. But I needed the space to get to know myself, so that's kind of indicative of how much time you need to get to know you. And that's really the know thyself, right? On the entrance to the Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting pretty close. Anybody else have anything to say? Hi, James.
Oh, I have my hand up. I guess it wasn't showing up.
Oh, go ahead, Brad. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's all mine is showing up. I'm sorry. No, I was just gonna. Now it won't lower, so obviously on my screen. There's a couple things. You talk about bloom and so just in a personal sense, going back to the prison planet. When I first went in this conspiracy holes, it's like I spent many years in that, and and this is the double side of the online, right? About meeting all you guys, right? This has been a very positive influence, but I could spend a lot of times in the holes and dealing and looking at the message boards and all the negativity, right? And yes, that's very sort of pulling you down, if you will, in this kind of way. But for example, meeting you guys helped to lighten me up. So that on a personal blooming stance, I no longer I trust it all. It's like I'm no longer afraid or worried about all that. So what that's done for me is now, even though I can see we can all see everything going on in the world, but I can go out just in my everyday in just a more joyous state and being more in love with it. And the people I interact with in my immediate space, it's almost all joy and love. And we're not, even though we're all aware, the people you talk to, they're aware of it too. And even if it gets brought up, right? Because, and I'm not going to toot my own horn and say it's all me, but it's like, because I'm not down about it and I can be joyous, it's like, I'm just saying the energy between me and the people I interact with is mostly joyful, which gives me this sense too that there's something else happening here around all that's going on out there, that people are starting to, in a level, I think individually, start to choose more consciously joy, because I hear this a lot too. They don't want to focus on that. They're aware of it, but it's this echoing of but I'm just trying to connect to my joy and stay in that place. And so I do think there's a lot of that happening. And I was going to comment on Nancy, you talking about, I remember when I first met you, and I remember months ago when you were talking about, you were talking on Dojo and hearing your voice from the other room and just this disembodied feeling, is this me? And it's funny because the first few times I shared on Dojo, right, it is that kind of thing. I kind of go back and listen to myself and it's like, oh, that feel, and it's funny because I'm guessing for you too, Nancy, and from probably all of us here, the more you share, the more it just does become natural, and you're no longer thinking about all that sort of stuff, and it's just like, yeah, it's just a conversation in this kind of way. But one other point I was going to say, but I think I lost it, and I think we're getting close to time anyway, so I'll save it for next time if I have any more.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, you're taking Vibe Liable very seriously, as we all should.
Taking what?
Vibe Liable. You're bringing the vibe.
Oh,
I don't know if you missed the vibe level part, but yeah, my daughter Audrey's like, I go into work and I'm the worst one who I detect if they're a good mood or a bad mood. I'm like, the vibe liable. So it all depends on the calories you're bringing to the table, right? And thank you for that word, James.
Right.
That just fills up so many plates. So like, here you go. Just some calories. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. We're going to close it out. If you want to go ahead and unmute and say goodbye. Thanks for joining us on a Wednesday.
Love you guys.
Dojo.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good night, you guys. Good morning. See you. Thanks for being here, everybody.